Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Tennant Nicholson. I am the Chief Creative Officer of Wasabi Publicity, the co-founder of Pitch Rate, and the person who wrote the 21-Day PR Action Guide with Drew Gerber. And so this is our 21-Day PR Action Guide challenge, our phone calls, Friday phone calls at 1 p.m. Eastern. And in July 2020, we are doing calls on the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. And so we've been really anticipating July's call because June's calls were so productive. So that's my dog, and that teaches me to not have my door was not locked. We just include everything because it's a very casual call today. So whatever goes, goes. And I also am already hearing from people who are joining us the miracles that they've created since the last 21-Day PR Action Guide Challenge. So Marjorie, do you want to share with us what you were sharing in the pre-call?
It wasn't, I don't feel like it was actually completely anything I did. I was approached by, because I'm known in our area as the person that knows about outdoor stuff. A local Boston area TV show, magazine show contacted me and asked me to recommend some places that were off the beaten track for their natural wonders of the world. Natural wonders, I don't remember exactly how they're very confined to Eastern Massachusetts right now because of the virus and travel restrictions for their crew. So,
so then what happened was an actual TV interview, because I think you had told us about it in June.
It was.
The interview. So why don't you just hold that thought, and then we're going to actually share about your TV interview and how it relates to first impressions, our bio, our news and story ideas, what you include in an online press kit, and then ultimately the why of doing stuff. So I'm going to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to actually go back to you to ask you to share a few things. If you all recall from the previous time, Marjorie actually has a line of, her content's all about walking safely and making sure that you get exercise, but in a way that works for your body. Right, Marjorie?
That's a fair assumption, yes.
So put inside, so Marjorie and everybody else, go ahead and mute yourself if you've got a lot of background noise. Also inside the group chat, put whatever you want to plug in there. I want to know a little bit about you. I want you to share with other people on the call who you are and what you're doing. And if we just have the chat box light up with lots of links and information, especially those bio links, right? So one of the things that I talked about in my blog this week at storytellertothemedia.com is that the most critical mistake that people make, and I see new clients doing it almost 90% of the time, is they don't have one place where they can actually point to their bio, including LinkedIn, which is shocking to me. So why aren't there, like, what's the deal? Why don't you have photos up? And I think it's because people say, oh, I don't want to actually brag about myself or talk about myself. Well, when you're dealing with the press, you have to. So Hannah, if you wouldn't mind helping me mute people who have background noise who haven't muted themselves, that would be awesome. Hannah's my co-chair and somebody who's hosting for us right now. So she's going to be helping mute, unmute, so that we just have like the integrity and the sound and what we're talking about today. So I see that Marjorie's put in there easy walks. Thanks, Hannah, because I can't actually do any more of the host stuff anymore. So I appreciate you taking care of that. So we're going to prepare for our first breakout session. And in the first breakout session, but in the feedback from June, what I heard was, hey, can you just give us a little bit of a lesson before we actually go into our breakout sessions, okay? So, and the other thing that I think is going to happen is we're going to continue to have people log in late. And we're going to try to always do these calls punctually. So if you are logging in late, then you're just going to have to roll with whatever breakout session you get dropped into, because it could be that we're in the middle of a breakout session when you pop in, okay? So the first one really is about that first impression and the bio. And so let's do the lesson first. So right now, you could link to what you put into the chat, what you want to actually promote to other people on the call. But I also just want you to open up a new Google browser or Chrome or Mozilla, whatever, Bing, whatever you use most. I use Chrome most. So, and I'm just going to put my name in there. I'm just going to actually do a Google search on my name. Have you done that? You should do it every week. So what comes up, right? I can see that I used to dominate the term Michelle Tennant, and now there's a millennial who is, she's an athlete, and she got my name. Oh my God. So just to be aware of, nothing, not a big deal, but just something. And then there's other pictures. Here's another person. And just kind of like looking to see, like, am I on Google page 1 or not? If you don't come up on Google page 1 in your name, you got some work to do, okay? And there's a lot of different ways you can do that by getting a URL with your name in it first, you know, Michelle Tennant's website or something like that, because not everybody has a unique name, right? Sometimes you have something that's very generic. But it is important that you work toward getting to Google page 1. Now, ask yourself, so my LinkedIn profile comes up number 4. Also my Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. Does yours? And the reason why I'm asking is, does a link show up under your name that tells your expertise? So if, and you can get to my bio within 2 clicks, but can you get to your bio within 2 clicks? Do you have a press kit or a website or a LinkedIn page or something on YouTube that says your bio? And then if you're like, gosh, I really can't, just put in the word, your name, and then the word bio. So I put in Michelle Tennant bio. I'm going to share my screen if I can. Let's see if I can. Yes, thanks, Hannah. I can. Here's my bio. What's interesting is this is my HuffPost column comes up first, then my Wasabi Publicity column, then my press kit comes up. So in the first 3 things under Michelle Tennant bio, you'll see my bio right here. And then it starts to tell my, you know, my experiences and what I do for a living and whatnot. That's what you want. Okay, you want that. So we're going to break into breakout rooms, and then we're going to deal with what comes up in your search, in your browser search. And if it's not to your bio, start to brainstorm when we come back from the break. Marjorie, you're going to be first. We're going to deal with that and how it actually contributed to the TV, what happened around your press dance the last month, okay? Okay, get ready. Hannah, please turn us into breaks. Partner was Elizabeth, and so that's the thing that what's happening to most of my clients is happening to Elizabeth, right? So when we go to LinkedIn for Elizabeth, she's got her profile photo and then her expertise below. And she happens to share the Google space with an actress, Lizzie McGuire. So it makes it complicated. So she'll, you know, you may want to pepper in like the fun things like your students call you Miss M, or you might, you know, you can search for me, Elizabeth McGuire, speech pathologist. So that then people start to put in that extra, you know, not to be confused with that actress. And then Elizabeth's site is called Babble Better. And I love what you have on the website, Elizabeth, for Babble Better. That's fine, right? You have a title and who you are, which is sometimes actually missing when clients come on board. I'm always like, really? You should definitely have a good title. And then the other piece, you know, you look good on Facebook and whatnot. The thing that we found on LinkedIn was there's space for photos that tell the story in addition to the profile. So you want to put the hat on of, I don't know this, pretend you don't know you, and that you're, I think a fun thing to do is a first date. Pretend that you're going on a first date, and what will that first date find about you? Happened to me in 2001. Chuck, this guy I was dating in Greenville, South Carolina, we were on the date, and he started to say things about what he had Googled on me. Now, at that time, that wasn't normal, okay? Remember 2001? The internet was fresh. Like, we didn't have, like, Facebook and all that stuff, right? It was all, so that was kind of, like, shocking that he had Googled me, and he knew that I was an award-winning children's author. He'd found that information from a previous job that I had had and so forth. It freaked me out. but it also taught me something that at that moment I was like, game changer, right? People can Google your name, and so I just played with it since then. I've often been told that I share too much online. I'd rather control that rather than have it be about me or get away from me. And so I've dominated the space of Michelle Tennant since that time. And now we have some millennials with my name. And so, right, that's my name. And if you all don't know, I think I was preparing for this call this morning, and I thought we would also talk a little bit about Lady A. I don't know if you've heard about the scuttlebutt about Lady A, but we're going to talk about that in terms of bio and what's happening. But let's stop my blabbing. Elizabeth, anything else that you saw for yourself in the bio creation? When we talked, you got to unmute. Hannah, can you unmute Elizabeth, or can she unmute herself?
Okay, yeah, I just unmuted. Well, I noticed when I looked up on my website, the end of it isn't just about us, it's about us, like style 1. So I need to fix that. But so more of everything that comes up with my name is all about other people. There's a health grade thing that I don't have anything to do with. I don't know if it's good or not, or if I should care. And then it's my LinkedIn. So there's nothing with my website on there when I look up my name. So I don't know if that's something I should worry about.
Yeah, you want people to be able to find you, right?
Yeah, but they find me on the LinkedIn, but not on my website. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So you control those, you control those, that's owned assets, right? Owned media. And those are the things that you control. Your social media, anything that you pay for, paid advertising. It's that earned editorial stuff that most people are like, I want PR, but then they don't know how to really control their own assets. And so a lot of those points of contact are in your control, and you can let people know what to see first. And so they don't have to dig for the information. I'm always shocked when clients come and you're like, really, that's your best foot forward on your first date with potential clients or potential readers or potential donors or whatever, you're publicizing. Marjorie, where's Marjorie? So Marjorie, let's talk a little bit about your TV. Did the TV people, when they were wanting to interview you, did they ask you for a bio or a press kit or information?
I always send it to people. I can't remember specifically because it was more, they were asking me for specific information, and then they called up and said, this place that I didn't have the information they were looking for, so I suggested an alternative, and which they found intriguing. So then they just called me up and said, let's do this. So I honestly can't remember it. They had already said, we want to do this. So I didn't even have
But you always send it. It's something that you always send, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I must have. I honestly can't remember. But I gave them copies of my books. They ended up taking pictures of them on the trail. They actually showed them twice in the show. It was only a 3-minute segment, but I didn't have any expectation.
Oh, see, you say only. I think 3 minutes is an eternity for a TV segment.
It was nice. It was nice. Yeah. They also made it
Some
last.
Segments are a minute 30.
They made it last in the whole program, and they used my voiceover to wrap up the entire half-hour show.
Wonderful.
And then came back to me at the very end. So
yay, let's all like give her a big old online
so that was
handshake, right?
So
Good
that
job,
was really
Marjorie.
very nice. It also pushed me, probably stuff you mentioned, to create a press kit page on my website, since I needed a place to put the link for this episode to live. And so I went and found a bunch of different news publications, paper publications, a podcast that I was in, and then this TV show as well. Besides, I looked up a couple different places what you put in a press kit, and photo, bio.
And what was the headline or the lead-in to the segment? Do you remember?
The lead-in was why they were restricted to Eastern Massachusetts because of the virus, that people like to go to Western Massachusetts, where it's all this gorgeous, stunning mountain scenery and waterfalls, and that because of travel restrictions, they and everyone else is limited to staying quite close to home. And so it just sort of made it circle around. And that was really my theme, is how to find easy walks wherever you are. So, and that gave me, I don't think they gave me a chance. I don't think they did that for my upcoming book, but that is the next book.
Isn't this interesting how, I want to underscore what you just said. They didn't do it for, it's about my next book. It's not my next book. Do you see how focused you are around your book?
Yeah.
Okay. Our next topic is creating news and story ideas. So this is a little lesson before we go into a breakout session.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other pitfall that everybody makes is it's always about you.
What they really hyped on about, and what they ended the story, was me talking about, for people who are reluctant to exercise when you're outdoors, you're just walking, looking, and you're not even realizing you're exercising because there's so much beautiful to look at.
And who's the focus of that conversation?
Well, of course, it's everyone. It's the listener.
Right. The viewer, the listener, the reader.
Right.
And if you can just make that subtle shift to them, to that audience, then you'll win at PR. Always and forever and a day, always. But what happens when people say, I want PR, I want my book mentioned, I want to be interviewed, I want it to be about me, you know, it's never going to work.
They did.
It's never going to work.
They did light up when I said, being outdoors really makes me happy. And as soon as I said that, I said, the interviewer lit up, and he just smiled, and I said, yep, they'll use that. And that was
so
really
there's an old
focus.
saying that this is like, I'm going to give you a little tip on getting quoted, right? Because when you see the interviewer light up, how do you ensure that you get quoted? Do you know?
I don't know the magic there. I always, as an interviewer, I just say, give me some pithy quotes, and people laugh.
And if they give you a, like at the end of the day, you know, some type of cliche that then all of a sudden it's like catnip to our ears. That's what this guy that my dear friend Jess Totfield, who's a media trainer and he's produced hundreds and hundreds of TV segments. That's what he'd always say. He's like, it's catnip. It's catnip to our ears when you say the bottom line is, or at the end of the day. And what you said was, being outdoors, it just makes me happy. And right now we're in a pandemic, and most of us are stuck too much indoors. So then that person that's interviewing goes, oh, that's great. Let's use that. Because they're waiting for that quote to use, right? They're waiting for that. You can help them out by using a cliche. Meanwhile, we're in a pandemic, and so we need news and story ideas. So you've got Marjorie's example of walking easily. You take your example, and we're going to take your news and story idea. I want you to come up with at least one today that you can use in July. There was another great aspect of this example. I love how it just happens naturally, is that it's travel time for the summer, right? So breaking in seasonal news right now, I'm pitching my long leads. I'm pitching to the magazines, the glossy magazines who are already doing Thanksgiving. They're doing the light holidays for December, the New Year's time. They're focused on what's happening around our holidays. Meanwhile, you've got the short lead people who are dealing with travel right now, going back to school. And so those are the hot buttons right now. Going back to our Lady A example, Lady Antebellum, a country band, changed their name because of Black Lives Matter, because Antebellum was too slavery related. They started using Lady A there's a blues singer who's been using Lady A for 20 years, and now they're in a lawsuit.
Oh, no.
Lady A, the blues singer's like, ain't that's some, her quote was on Twitter's like, ain't that some white privilege? Very good. I was like, and here's the thing that she said on CNN this morning, the blues singer. She said, I used to share Lady A with Lady Antebellum on Google page 1, because people would just call them Lady A, right? Even though they were Lady Antebellum. But she was Lady A, the blues singer. But because they decided to make this change, and because they have deep pockets and big team members and blah, 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 all of a sudden, Lady A, the blues singer, her people, she's got a new record coming out at the end of the month. They couldn't find her on Google page 1. That's how this all relates together. So you don't necessarily need deep pockets. You know, you guys are do-it-yourselfers. You can do it yourself. But you have to be strategic in what you're putting out on your owned assets, in your earned media strategies, in your paid strategies that actually use your name, your bio, your first impressions, and your TV placements like the one Marjorie got should be able to help you with that messaging, right? Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? Long lead, short lead, and what's the news and story ideas that you can come up with? When we come back, I want everybody to put it in the chat, what your angle that you're going to go out with in the next few weeks is going to be. So Hannah, can you put us into breakout rooms? Everybody's talking about your news and story idea, long or short. Like our group, you didn't finish. Did everybody finish or no? So great. We still have some.
I don't think so, because look, there's a lot of people missing.
I think they're going to come back here. Here they come.
We did a couple quick ideas and they're like, oh, gotta go.
All right, you all, I know we didn't finish, okay? So just bookmark your thoughts, okay? Because we're going to go back into another breakout session. And then
Okay.
the point of it is that you want to generate a lot of conversation and creativity in these meetings, right? But I also promise that this could be a group not only for our creative PR angles, but also for the rest of your life. So it's perfect that we had Marie. Marie has a clothing line for plus size women, plus some asthma. She's got an aloe vera and tea, some asthma solutions. And I was like trying to figure out, like, was there a tie-in here for her short and long lead? Okay, so here's the thing that I want to say to you, Marie, okay? Here's what I saw that we didn't have time to finish. What you have right now is recycled clothing. I think this is amazing. You could give tips because everybody's at home in the pandemic cleaning out their closets, right? And so you're actually talking about looking at this recycled clothing, but you could give your tips as someone who does this on how they can do it too. Just give some tips on, like, well, how do you recycle and alter, especially if you've lost weight or you're, like in the pandemic, you've either gained weight. Some people are, not too many, but some people are losing weight, that kind of thing, right? And that's just fun because it puts the focus on content for the viewer, the listener, the reader, and just shows your expertise as somebody who's altering clothes. And then they go, oh, Marie, that's cool. She alters clothes, she recycles clothing and alters them and whatnot. I'd like to learn more about that. You could also give tips on, what's happening on, like, fees that are typical in your arena. I just had somebody ask me that the other, well, how much is too much to actually alter something? So those angles are, the focus is on somebody else. For sure, you can write articles now, and then also for 6 months, if you want some of those more glossy magazines, they're looking for content right now around food, because food's sometimes related to people's asthma. And so how do you deal with the holidays when you're eating a lot of sugar and food that's maybe at somebody else's home and you're having to deal with your asthma? Maybe that's, then you talk about that tea or the aloe vera, okay? So those are some ideas, short and long lead for you. To final, who else was there? Joyce had a more serious, not more serious, but a little more heavy, I should say, topic in that it's more around the Me Too movement. And she has a local nonprofit. So she's going to do a pandemic related tie-in where minors are living with their perpetrators. And what do you do in the communities to actually help those minors, right? And then we got cut off. Joyce, you had another question Did that answer your question?
Well, I discovered when I Googled my name, which had never occurred on me to do, that there are lots of things. I've been working in the field of sexual assault healing for 20 years. And there are videos there from long ago that I didn't know were available. And there's my LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, all those are there as well. But do I have any control over that?
You do.
Yeah, no.
So, and this is for everybody who's spoken so far. Maybe I haven't interacted with you yet. Hi, Katie. Okay. There's Katie McQuaid. One of the things that you can always do is name your videos and name your photos with your name. That's a little short tip that you should always do. So Linda, you and your dog outfit, right? For your PR stuff, you're going to be talking about heat tips right now for dogs, like how to help your dog and they might not have your outfit, right? The little jacket the cooling jacket, the Coolvio, but they might just be on a beach and need to have I remember one time I was at the dog park and a dog had a heat stroke and nobody knew what to do. So everybody needs to know your tips on that. And then the other piece, perfect. Yes. And then the other thing, if you're just listening to this later and you don't see what she just did, she just held up a sign of top tips to do when your dog is heat stroking, right? Plan, act, watch, stay cool. Perfect. And Coolvio is the name, Coolvio, if you want to look that up and get her assets. The other thing is that when you're putting up your photos, Linda, and your videos and all of your assets that you own, should have Coolvio or Linda Coad prominently displayed. Oh, we just had a request that you post those on Pinterest. Have you posted those tips on Pinterest? So then Marjorie's talking about, teasing out your content, your giveaways on various social media platforms. Pinterest is one. You can also do video on YouTube. You can do some boomerang stuff on Instagram, things of that nature. And you just kind of beat the same drum all over the place with those tips, right? But right now, there's an added layer with the pandemic for those types of topics. Whether we're talking about Me Too, clothing, asthma, dogs overheating, walking, speech pathology. What else we got? I know what Katie's is, a children's book. Through the eyes of a dog. And then we got Janet and Victoria. Janet, Victoria, do you want to throw anything in the mix here as we're talking?
Yes, I'm Janet. Hi. I thought I'm a social compensation and etiquette consultant. So I thought I would, I'm planning on pitching their publications with the idea of how do you handle COVID-related quandaries in the workplace? People going back to work.
Okay, hold on. You said that really quickly and I'm a quick listener. Say it a little slower this time. So what's your expertise?
Social compensation and etiquette, professional etiquette.
Oh, interesting at this time back in the workplace, right? Okay.
How do you handle the quandaries?
Yeah, during the Me Too, the height of the Me Too conversation, just at the end of last fall, because we had what's his face well, now you've got Epstein's girlfriend. That's where you should be plugging in on that. That type of expertise around those conversations, those hard conversations, right? Anytime that it pops up with the trending news, you might think like Epstein, because it's such hardcore Epstein story, right? How does that relate? But the other thing is in the pandemic, how does that relate, right? Is there something fresh that you're creating around the pandemic or questions that you have?
Who are you talking to?
You, Janet.
Me. Okay, because I'm trying to relate me with Jeffrey Epstein and the Me Too. And I'm having a hard time. Because I don't know how to have those conversations.
Well, you have basically you're talking about etiquette in the workforce, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we see these really extreme cases, horrifying cases of like Epstein, right? And it's hard for us to watch, right? It's easier to hear from an expert like you, there was also there was a military woman recently who wasn't she found dead?
Yes.
those are hard stories for us. The TV would, the press would rather have something a little lighter, like how do you deal with inappropriate interactions in the workforce, but then they could have a tie-in, like, you know, what's in the news lately is Epstein and the royal family's dealing with whether or not she's gonna, like, you know, they're hard, but then they could do a softer segue into, let's talk about how you deal with sexual assault and appropriate, because I could see a royal tie-in. Maybe, Hannah, you need to tell me if I'm like, because sometimes my team goes, that's too much of a stretch, right? But you don't know till you're actually pitching it, right? Maybe this is too much of a stretch, but I see, like, because the royal family is going to say, they're going to try to say that they don't have anything to do with the Epstein people, right?
Right.
But you've got a young woman who says that she was forced. And so then how do you know as a, you know, how do you discern that, right? How do you discern, like, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate? As women, we think we know, but I don't think that all men really know.
No.
Right?
Right.
So
Right.
these are the things you could just help, because the press often, they don't want to have these conversations, and they're forced to have these conversations because of breaking news. So you kind of just help them cover the news and then get it done. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
So, you know,
Janet, I can tell you from 20 years of working with survivors, incest survivors seem to be good targets for sexual assault in the workplace.
yeah, they have like we have, like, you know, because I've shared in past calls that I'm also a survivor, and I put my perpetrator in jail when I was 20. And there's something that happens to those of us who are survivors. We have like a spidey sense, you know, like we have this like sixth sense about perpetrators in the room. And then we try to deny it. Like, I know that guy's a perpetrator, but then we don't say anything or do anything. I could really see someone with your expertise actually, like, what do you do in the workforce? We got the pandemic to deal with. Are you going to wear your mask? And then this creepy guy is coming onto you. Like, that could actually be a worthy segment for somebody.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
See what happens with it.
Okay.
And then the long term is, you know, the hard stuff, you guys. But I'm like, what happens to me is, like, somebody might, like, what do you do at the holidays when you have these difficult topics, right? So we all feel differently about the pandemic in a family. We all feel differently
Right.
about politics in the family. Then added, you've got like innuendo of incest in the family. That's hard holiday time. I can see you kind of taking an aspect of, like, how to have conversations around hard topics.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Victoria, do you have dogs or something fluffy to talk about?
Oh, that was crazy. I'm like, I don't know how to follow that.
Little hard.
Oh man, I'm like, okay, woo, mine is definitely not that intense.
Okay, sweet. Well, we need a little
Oh
break.
no, and then for Janet, I was thinking, like, you know, how to sit down at Thanksgiving with your family that are Trump supporters. You know, like something kind of funny, you know, that is also controversial, but something that's just kind of like, you know, or, you know, how to sit down with racist grandma, how to tactfully talk to your racist grandma.
Yeah, etiquette type stuff. That would
You
be
know,
good.
things like that.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
How to keep your etiquette in hard times, right?
Yes, yeah. But I just started my own PR company.
Woo!
So I know,
Victoria,
so excited.
congratulations.
I just closed a client this morning, so that was
Woo!
but yeah, it's just how do I do this? You know, I'm getting like, oh my God, now I have to deliver, and it's a little bit scary. And I was like, this is why I'm so happy to be a part of this community of other
Good.
PR people, because I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, I need help, and this is so much. And you know, you just want to do such a good job, and you just want to like put them everywhere. And so I need some help.
Well, how can we support you? That's a really great, because that was also my commitment, not only for our do-it-yourselfers, but or information officers, but also other publicists, like a safe place to come. Can I tell one on myself?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a true story, and don't anybody repeat it. And Hannah, it's on recording, but let's not use this part. So, but have you all ever heard of op-eds?
Op-eds, yes.
Op-eds, right?
Yeah.
Editorial pieces that the newspapers actually publish. I promise you, when I started, I literally said to somebody, an ed op. I know. I know. She's so stupid. No, I know. But these are the things that I didn't know that I needed a safe place to say, is it op-ed or is it ed-op? And then you go, oh, poor baby.
I feel like I don't know anything either. And like, I would love to find someone who works in PR to help me navigate my clients and just sort of get a game plan together with them. And like, okay, we want to publish them here.
Well, you
and
do
these
have
are
this book,
stories.
right?
I have the story. I have
Free
the book
right now.
Oh, I bought it for $50 on Amazon.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. I was
You
serious,
can also get it for
though.
free.
I didn't know that. Oh well.
Right to
But I wanted to
Hannah.
support you because these calls to me are worth it.
Okay,
They're really
perfect.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for that. And it's
no.
free. Okay, right now.
Okay,
So
that is
I
good to know.
appreciate you. But I appreciate my 84-year-old mother who's living with me, who she actually eats a lot. So thank you for supporting her.
No worries.
She
But
does.
no,
I don't know what it is, but she's always like, and then last night we were watching the British Baking Show, which is an awesome series if you haven't checked it out. And so they're making something, and then she looks at me, she's German, and she's like, Michelle, will you make that? I'm like, what am I? Like, now you're in-house baker? I'm
Oh
like,
my
okay,
gosh.
I'll make it this weekend. You know, but of course you say it's something with phyllo dough or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
your $50 is going to the 84-year-old who's having
Yay.
her birthday this month, July 18th.
Wonderful.
But I want to really bring to the part, like this month, bring that campaign to bear here. So if you want to workshop a particular angle or something like we did with the other ladies, and then we also have, I saw a man coming and going. I'm not sure if he's still with us.
We intimidated him.
My big thing is, how do I get my clients in full features in industry specific magazines?
Oh,
No.
okay. Like what? Like
an Inman, or I have one client that's in sewing. He has an online sewing thing, but he's a man. It's kind of funny. I have most of clients are in real estate, but I also have one in mortgage. How do I get them full features, like about them and their company, in an industry specific magazine?
Yeah, so one person asked for HARO, pitch rate, like there's incoming lead places,
Yeah.
real estate client, and for everybody, these sources that connect you with the journalist are good ways to get features, especially like realtor.com. And there's we had a real estate agent a few years ago, and we got a lot off of Help a Reporter Out and Pitch Rate and Source Bottle. So check that's free.
Yeah.
You just have to, it's really about the time management. Like we have somebody at our PR firm who just sits on those leads. Okay. Right. But the do-it-yourselfers, some people do it all themselves and then come to us when they get too busy. They're very successful at getting especially for your real estate person. They have real estate stuff in there almost every week. Okay? Really?
Well, I only know about HARO. What were the other two you named?
Oh, pitch rate. Hannah, can you throw them in there? So Help a Reporter Out. There's a free and then a paid version of that now because it combined with ProfNet.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also put ProfNet. ProfNet, I think, is like $4,000 a year.
Is ProfNet worth it?
We do it, but only because we do it. If I were a solo PR firm, Victoria, I would just use HARO.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Because ProfNet, only if you've got the volume of clientele, because I think it's pricey. Okay. Yeah. And then pitch rate's free too. That's ours.
Okay.
And Source Bottle's free. So there's plenty of freebies out there, and they sometimes cross post, some of the journalists. Okay.
Source Bow or Source Bottle?
Source Bottle. Hannah put it in the chat for everybody right there.
Do you happen to know someone, like I'm looking to hire someone part-time, to hire like a PR person to help me with all my clients? If you know anybody's looking for work.
Yeah, will you write, Hannah, will you put your email in there, and then Hannah will connect.
Victoria, you have my email. I think we've been
emailed. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe we just do like a one-off consulting thing for you or something like that. When we first started, I used Joan Stewart that way, and we would, really? I really just wanted to pick Brain Stewart's brain. And if you go to, she's the publicityhound.com. If you go to her website now, you can even see that there's a thing now called Pick Your Brain. like she made it a service for herself. At the time, I was part of her mentor group. So we would meet in calls like this. And then anything that and the reason why I used her was because she had been an editor for like 20 years. So where I was a publicist for as long, I just didn't know some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. So over the years, I've hired my weakness, right? Like I hired a former senior writer, editor from a New York daily newspaper. He works for us now. Or I've hired, I hire radio producers or former TV producers. So then I have where my weakness is, and I can just ask them, what do you think?
Yeah, I
One
would
of our
love
publicists,
that.
she specializes in corporate PR and travel PR, so and military. So I can just ask her when, I don't, the way that you have to, especially when you guys are do-it-yourselfers or soloists, there's also, the gig economy. So there's plenty of places like, Hannah, throw in there a few places in there like
Upwork?
Upwork, Elance, whatever, I don't know, Hannah manages all
Yeah,
that.
even Fiverr. Fiverr, I think it's FIV. Yeah. It's no longer just $5. Yeah, it's like Upwork. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, we've been using Fiverr recently. Yeah.
Because you guys as do-it-yourselfers, I think it's important that, when entrepreneurs, that you just have at your beck and call these types of consultants where you can just pay them for an hour or two, or just maybe just by project with writing. And then that just helps you get things done. Because, Linda and I have a friend, Anna Lebeck, in common. And honestly, she's got a lot of gifts and talents, but she also needs consultants from time to time to help her where she's, needs to build some strength. Okay.
Yeah, I would love that.
I want to talk a little bit about press kits too. This is a great segue from Victoria's platform, because as a press, one of the things that our secret weapons I want to share with everybody is our press kits. So if you go to searchpresskits.com, this is a vanity URL that I created, which would serve like a search engine for the press, and then you get to our press kits. So Online Press Kit 247 is a product that my business partner Drew Gerber and I developed, and you can see all of our clients down here, okay? But you can also, this is through our pitch rate community. Let's just say we had real estate, right? You put it in there, let's see who comes up. Let's see what I got. Not planned, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so then you've got some people here. The people down here, these are free. They're with our pitch rate, so you guys can do that too. These are all, and then these are people who paid for a press kit. Okay, so let's take a look at Olivet. So Olivet is in Asheville. They're a current client, and then this is their press kit, and they are a community. They specialize in farm to table type stuff. And here are the essential elements of a press kit. You've got this first page is what I like to call, what my team and I call it upside down writing. So boom, we got the whole story right there in a sentence, and then you add the description. Typically people write the other way. They write, so then there's like a big crescendo at the end, right? The big reveal, or the big, if in a movie you're going to have the climactic moment. But for journalists, we need to actually have an upside down where all the facts are in the top, and then it's plus detail, plus detail, plus detail. Then here you've got 3 different bios. So a byline bio is for I'm gonna send you all this link too, so that you can have this this link chat. Let me see here. So you'll see under Allison Smith, she'll have a byline, which is for print. That's different than the spoken word. So a broadcast bio is really about, you're on radio, you're on TV, and then the host needs something quick. And then the full bio is really just in depth, all your goodies. Then you've got your media coverage page. So this is all the media coverage you've had to date, sort of what Marjorie is talking about that she has on her actual website, which is fine. Then you want to give them images. Look how these beautiful images that our client gave us to give to the press. And they own or have the rights, the copyrights on all these, right? So they either own the photo or they've gotten it from a photographer. Let me see. So you'll see here where it's credited to this photographer. But this is something that we've got glossy magazines looking at using in the fall and January. So part of, Victoria, what I'm going to invite you to do is look at getting these photo assets with the press right now. They're very understaffed because of the pandemic and because of furloughs. So they're looking for help, really great photos, really great copy that they can just plug and play. Then you've got these interview questions. This is if when you're on a podcast or a radio show, and then this is something that's just ready to go. Some journalists are going to tell you to step off and don't tell them what to do or what to ask. That's fine. Then you've got this radio one-pager that I like to just give as something that they can print out and have in front of them that has all of these elements together, right? There's my contact information up here. And then you've got just a quick, 1-2 about what it is. Here's an intro. That's the broadcast bio. You got some quick topics. The public website that clearly tells the press which one to promote, whereas the online press kit is for them, right? And then some questions that they can ask. Then here's the heart of any press kit is really these news and story ideas where you can tell a journalist, oh, great, you have interest in Olivet. Well, what about some of these? What about designing for sustainable happiness? What about a CSA? Like what happens to community supported agriculture during the pandemic? And then of course, always, always, always your contact information and how and when to get in touch with you, which is sometimes people miss, okay? That's not good. So copy this. If you want help and you want your own press kit, we've got Press Kit 247. We can help you with that. And we just do press kits for other publicists and or host it and so forth. It's an extension of the regular site. It's not a website. I mean, it is a website, but it's not your public website, right? So you can go to Olivet and just see that this is their website. This is where consumers go. This is where potential people who want to buy real estate at this location, this is where they go, right? And then inside here, they're going to have a press kit. And there it is. That's our press kit. You see? So you want that material. So those are the ingredients. I promised you that I would go over like what to include in a press kit, and that's what's that. And then that way, look, this is something that Drew, my business partner, he was from the .com industry way back when, and he had all this technology that he was throwing my way. And I was like, oh my God, every publicist, every information officer, every do-it-yourselfer needs this. And here's why. I have sent press kits when I'm kayaking. Sometimes they call you on the weekends and you're like, oh, I'm getting a call from the Wall Street Journal. Well, if it's Saturday, that's how I act. I go, oh, they're calling me on the Saturday, right? If they call me on a Wednesday, I'm like, the Wall Street Journal's calling, right? But you know how it is, like you're in the middle of kayaking and you're like, oh my God. Well, my press kits, I just send them a link. I go, oh, hi, how are you? I'm like, literally that happened in the middle of the Pigeon River near us, near Tennessee, right? Near Dollywood. You all know Dolly Parton. And I'm out there kayaking and she's like, I need the photos right away, right? And most publicists are going to panic. And I was like, no problem. Do you want that texted to you? Click, click. And I just sent them a link, right? And it's easy peasy. But if you don't think ahead and have all this together, you can't just send them a link. Say, I'm going to send you all a link. Pretend I'm kayaking. I'm like, oh, you want those photos for tomorrow's deadline? No problem. Ding. Questions. We're at the top of our hour, so I have kept you guys long enough. Any other questions or comments? Katie hasn't spoken. Janet.
Okay, I have a question. If I'm going to pitch a story to say the business editor at the Boston Globe, and say there were 3 business reporters at the Boston Globe, do I have to choose one?
Well, that's a great question. Okay. Sometimes I go straight to the top guy. If it is like a shoe-in, it's like a perfect angle. I know that it's breaking news and they need to move on it right away. I will call the top dog. You want to call the business editor. If you're not sure about the angle and you're like, it's a little bit of a stretch, sort of like what I said earlier, and you're like, I should workshop it just a bit, bye Victoria, then you should probably call the sub guy.
So what if there were 3 sub people? Do I have to choose one?
Yeah, just start with one, just see what they say.
And if they don't respond, if they don't respond, I ping them. And if they don't respond again, I go to one of their colleagues.
I would.
Okay.
That's a little aggressive, but I would.
Okay. Thank you.
You know what? I also didn't do different departments. So sometimes you want the calendaring department, like an event coming up, here's a calendar.
Yes.
And you get it listed there. But then you can also then go to the lifestyle features editor.
Right.
And say, you know, we got this event coming up, and then there's this beautiful story about this little boy about this event.
Gotcha.
And they go, oh, and then you got double whammy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Katie, before we adjourn, is there anything that you would like to say to the group?
No, I'm just happy to be here. And Grace's 4th book launched last week.
Yeah!
Children's book series about my dog named Grace, and it's called Everybody Loves Grace, and book 4 just launched last week.
So Katie, I've been doing Katie's PR for a while. She Wasabi, and then so I just want to say you're so modest about who you are. So I'm going to brag about her just a bit. So Katie is I want to show everybody your press kit. So we, talking about press kits. Hold on just a second. Okay, here it is. So this is what we did for Grace and Katie. And let me just chat it to everybody too, so you can have it there. By the way, before you take off, download the chat, and you can do that with the upper right hand. There's like 3 little dots next to everyone in your chat. If you click on that, it'll say save chat, and that way it'll save your chat and all your links to your computer. Okay, let me see. I can share that right here. It's this right here. Okay, save chat. Okay. So this is Katie's. This is her press kit. You can see here that, it's the story in short, basically, for the press. And then her press releases are down here. This is her public website. Okay. And I'm going to back into a little secret about Katie. Here you go. So Katie McQuaid spent more than 3 decades in the CIA, including 12 years living abroad. So that's like if you have anything interesting about your life like that, you've got to put that front and center, because that's just super interesting, right? Every time I would say that to the press, they'd go, and now she's writing children's books? That's super interesting. Yeah, it is, isn't it? And that's why they want to interview people, because they're interesting. And then you see the media coverage page here. These are all the images that we had, not only of the book, but look, Katie, through our coaching and working together, she really got some really great images for the press to use. Here's Grace the dog.
She looks like that right now.
It's so great. Katie, was it hard to get these pictures? You want to share anything about because I remember for a while there, we were like, we need more pictures. We need more pictures. Anything about that we should know?
Just I would share that getting a professional photographer made all the difference at my events. Like I used to have friends try to get them on phones and that kind of thing. And I just bit the bullet and got a professional photographer, and it made the huge difference.
And did the professional photographer help get the permission for you to be able to use the kids? Or because I know you also had photo releases.
Yeah, that's hit or miss. She didn't. I actually took that on myself. I needed to remember to do it at the beginning of events. That's one of my favorite pictures right there.
And this is also a way, if you don't have a photo release, we can't identify this little girl, right? But we know you and Grace, like tells the story of what you're doing. And that's what makes all the difference with an image that works, correct?
Yeah.
So, and then you also have a professional shot, because we need those too, right? When you're writing an article and so forth. And then the interview question, did you find in your interviews that they use these or not at all?
They did use them. And then the other thing, it helped me prepare for interviews. Like it kind of got my head in the game as I was getting ready for interviews. I would look at these.
And how about the news and story ideas? I never asked you, we would tell you about the news and story ideas. And I just never had the opportunity to ask a client like, well, I told you the news and story ideas would get you placements. Were you surprised about the connection between the creation of these angles and then what actually happened in the dance of these interviews?
Yeah, well, you guys led me well in terms of the placements, and it really helped legitimize my brand and give me, I just have great media coverage, and then a few podcasts popped in there. So the angles really worked, and it was the trust in Wasabi that helped get me the placement.
Katie. Oh my God, it's almost like a planned having her on, isn't it? It really worked out well at the end. I swear this is completely like just happened, right? Katie's just on. So that's so great. Well, it's such a pleasure too to meet with anybody about anything about your angles right now, Katie, that because you're now doing it yourself. So what's next for you?
What's next for me are tips for kids for, getting on a routine for parents, actually, how to stay on schedule for COVID, like establishing routines is I'm going to do some more tips from Grace. And I started Tip Tuesdays on Facebook. Everybody loves Grace, has a Facebook page if you're all interested, but she does tips, and those have been super helpful. And the next ones are routines, like kind of how to stay on schedule.
So up here in the right-hand corner in our kits, which is also very important with your press kits, whether you go with a service or do it yourself, is you want to have your social links, because that's very important to the press right now. So what Katie's pointing to is on Facebook, she's having these, well, you had during the pandemic, you had story time.
Yeah, and
right, and that
Monday, another one for book 4 there. Yeah,
there it is. Very successful stuff.
Yeah.
You can see here, this one had 172 views. I just really think that that's important for people. You've got the Nautilus Book Award. I think that there's, the combination of your owned media, your earned media, and your paid media. But I don't, we'll speak more about that in this 21-day challenge. And Hannah, I covered everything, right? Oh, your big why. That's what we need. Like, why are you doing this?
Oh.
Right? So so those of us who are still present, so why are you doing PR? For me, my big why I shared in my blog yesterday was, I am caring for my 84-year-old mom. It is important to put her baked goods on the table so she can enjoy them, to give back, for raising me. So everything flows out of my mom's care right now. How about you all? Why are you doing this? Marie, why are you doing this? Why are you making these clothing? Why are you doing the asthma stuff? What fuels you? And then we'll go around. So everybody unmute. I'm gonna unmute Marie. Hold on, Marie. We need to unmute you.
Can't hear you.
All right, Marie, you gotta unmute your chat. Remember the little microphone? We got to click on that microphone so we can hear you. We're going to come back around to you, okay? Joyce, you're unmuted. Let's hear from you. So we'll come back to Marie. Joyce?
Okay.
I am working to support survivors and empower survivors because I learned from my experience of leaving a very successful business I'd had for 23 years, a 35-year marriage, to hold on to my sanity when I had flashbacks to childhood abuse.
Yeah, so you're helping just give what you got, right? Give away and help those.
I've written the kind of book I would like to have been able to read at that time.
Nice. Serving others, survivors. I love that. All right, Marie, now you're unmuted. What about you? What's your why?
Well, I really want to help people, and I think M3A design can be the type of business to help people that need work in shelters and so on. I really want to go to a nonprofit.
That's great.
And we can recycle clothing and sell the clothing back. It will be better than Goodwill and whatnot. It will be great clothing, you see?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Perfect. Okay. And let's see, Marjorie's unmuted. Marjorie, what's your why? Everybody.
My why is I went from not being able to walk to being able to walk. Nearly 30 years ago, I was not able to walk across a room. And now I am doing things to help other people with mobility issues to find ways to be safely outdoors, because I have been, with support, been able to do that myself, and I'm hoping to share those lessons with other people.
I can't believe how personally related I am to everybody's why, right? I'm a survivor of sexual assault. One of my favorite things to do as a teenager was to recycle clothing from my father's old stuff, right? Now it's what I wore. And then Marjorie, I couldn't walk at the age of 38. I was headed toward a walker, so I really resonate with your platform. Katie, what's your big why now that you're, I'm sure I've asked you before, but what fuels you today?
To spread the message of love and kindness and how simple acts of kindness can have a profound effect on people. And also the gift of presence, just how really being present with somebody can make them feel seen, heard, and loved.
Yes, like Mr. Rogers, and by the way, everybody calls her Mrs. Rogers, right? Like from the neighborhood. Okay, and then we've got Linda, Janet, and Elizabeth. Linda, you got a friend there we want to hear from. Make sure you unmute so we can hear you.
This is my wife right here, Audrey. I love my dog. I love spending time outside with her. And I was fortunate enough to know the people that invented this cool fabric. And I started making dog shirts with it. It's to keep her cool. It emits healthy light, gives her good energy, and we'd have more fun outside. So I wanted to share that with all other dog owners.
That's great, Linda. That's so great. All right, Janet, this is so fun. Janet, what's your why?
Well, largely because of technology, we're living in silos, and the scary part is we're becoming used to that. As a result, people are less and less happy. So what I want to do is help people to be able to build connections.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, great. Well, you're in the right place too. That's what we do. We love to do that, right? And then Elizabeth, how about you?
You.
Okay, let's see. There we go. Well, my why, because I've been doing speech and language therapy for so long, I realized, the sooner I help a kid learn how to talk, and if we can get them early when they're 0 to 3 years old, then they may not need speech therapy when they're older. So if I can help families realize when their child is delayed, then the kid will just have so much more happiness and regular schooling, and there won't be any of those negative feelings of, oh, I have to get pulled out for speech because I don't this or that. So trying to get that early identification is important.
That's really great, Miss M. And then it's also Miss M, like your initials, EM.
That's why it's M. That's why.
I know. I just love that. I don't know. You can play with that. That's really fun. All right, everybody. Until next Friday. I love you all. Thanks for being here, and have a great weekend.